geography is every bit as intense as Korea. But since they're not connected to the mainland of Asia, the Japanese people, very similar to the ancient Greeks, become expert sailors. It's easier for them to travel around their coastline than it is to get over land because it's extremely mountainous. It is very difficult to go through there. Japan was not unified, and then one warrior clan, the Yamatos, will link up with the Paches and get iron weapons. When an iron sword hits a piece of wood or a bronze sword, what happens? The wooden or bronze one breaks. So the Yamato family comes to dominate and unify Japan, and they will become the first kings and start the Japanese single dynasty, the only country that has only had one single ruling family from, say, 400 AD until now. So bring around 2,000 years, they've just been steady.
So yes, are these guys like really freaking rich, like the Yamato?
Yeah, they're kind of like the Queen of England. They don't really do much. They're heads of, they're the chiefs of state. They do functions, but they're extremely wealthy and don't have to do anything.
Back then, did they do a lot of stuff?
Oh yeah, they were in charge. Now they're just a figurehead.
Up until when were they like?
1945. Yeah, the little atomic bomb thing. Right. Yes, ma'am.
How big of a deal do you think it would be if the dynasty ended during our lifetime?
It would be huge because the Japanese people have only known one. A couple years ago, the current emperor, he hadn't had a child yet, and his wife became pregnant, and the whole world, myself included, was hoping that he would have a girl because they were both getting up there in age, and it'd be awesome to have the first empress, but it was a boy.
Gosh darn it.
I mean, I'm glad the kid's healthy and everything. It would have been cool to have, I don't want to be like a jerk, but anyway. So, government and religion. The Japanese are going to be, much like the Egyptian pharaohs, the Yamatos are going to choose the sun as their symbol. So the pharaohs, Louis XIV, you name it. And as I said, they're the only single dynasty in world history. They will come up with their polytheistic religion known as Shintoism, worshiping the gods of nature pretty much like everybody else. To claim power and aristocracy in Japan, you chose a powerful symbol of nature. The stronger the symbol, the more political clout your family had. So the Fujiwara family chose as their symbol Mount Fuji, the biggest physical object in Japan. They were like the #2 people right behind the Yamatos. And the Japanese are going to depend upon very family-oriented, the we or the clan. And as Japan will begin to borrow from China, remember in China we have the civil service exam and a recommendation from someone who's currently a Confucian scholar. In Japan it was all about who you knew, not what you knew. What's going on? And so here is the relationship. Right as Europe is devolving into the Dark Age, right as Muhammad is getting ready to found Islam, young Japanese men are going to travel over to China to learn. They're going to study everything, and they're going to bring it back. This is the Korean Bridge. And most of this is going to take place during the Tang and Song dynasty. The Tang and Song are two great golden ages of cultural achievement in China. So while they were coming up with all of this really awesome good stuff, they literally just handed it to Japan like they shared a Google Doc with them. I still don't know what that is, but that seems to be something that you say. I'm all about Microsoft Word, man. That's all I know. Or I'll attach an email. This sharing nonsense, I don't understand how that works.
There's actually a virus going on with it right now.
Ha, see?
Like a huge one too.
Just telling you, Cyberdyne. I've seen Terminator. I know what happens. All right. Problem. China's got a lot of good stuff, but the cultures are different, so not everything fits. Some things are like trying to put a round peg in a square hole. One of the things that they do adopt is the concept of feudalism, where the king or the emperor will hand out plots of land. He will give them to his people to govern for him, even though he controls it all. The guy who he gives the land to is called a...
Shogun.
I gotta go get a Coke. Can you spare me a dime, yo? All right. There we go. Can I borrow a dime, yo? The daimyo's warriors are known as samurai. All right. Everything else Japan takes, they will morph it to fit a specific Japanese need. And this is going to be a Japanese trait or hallmark over their entire history. And so we're going to get to this period again. This is synonymous with the European Dark Ages and the great expansion of Islam. Islam has made it to the Indus River Valley at this time. They're also up into southern Spain. And Nara is, when the capital of Japan is in the beautiful city of Nara. It is built to be a carbon copy of what was going on in Tang, China at the time. And here is where, instead of using the Confucian Civil Service exam, if Christina wants a job and her family's connected, Christina gets a job. And Megan gets a job, and Marissa gets a job, and Max gets a job. The problem is, Max, Marissa, Megan, and Christina are all doing the same job. It's like Lincoln Center. How many people do we need to do the same stinking job, right? But that's, what it is. We're duplicating and triplicating. But their families are all connected, so they got to have a job. So up until, around 1100, Japan is going to sit and take everything that they learned, and they're going to condense it. In 800, think shortly when Charlemagne's grandsons are writing the Treaty of Verdun, is the last Chinese delegation to Japan. They're like, look, we've learned enough, we've got enough to deal with, we're going to find a way to make this fit. And so they're going to spend the next 350 years up to the High Middle Ages assimilating what they like. And this period is known as High-End Japan, where they build a new capital. They lay it out in a grid pattern like the Tang, but they add some pretty Japanese architecture to it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. A little Japanese pagoda architecture by a pond is kind of pretty, Put some cherry blossoms out there. It's kind of like, I'm not going to, it's not bad. High-End is near the present-day industrial city of Kyoto. And one of the things the Japanese had to deal with was figure out how to tax people. How are the peasants going to pay for all of this stuff? Taxes could be collected in cash or in local products. But if you're a fisherman, how are you going to get fish to pay your taxes before it rots? And the Japanese are like, Domo arigato, I don't know what to do here. The wealthy could pay them, but the poor citizens of Japan cannot. So instead of paying the taxes in local products or labor, they're going to convert to the practice of feudalism, where your local lord will connect your taxes and send them to a new guy known as the Shogun. So when Cameron flexes, we say, oh my God, he's the Shogun. All right? When Marissa gets up and does her Mark Phelps before she, or is it Michael Phelps, before she jumps in the pool, they're like, wow, that girl is ripped. She is the Shogun. So, and she's glowing red right now. It's all right, Marissa. Don't even worry about it. All right? So anyhow, we're going to do this in feudalism. The Shogun is going to be the actual leader of Japan, but he's the head military official. The emperor is up in the emperor's palace doing like emperor stuff. Like, you know, origami. Somebody made me a nice little flower. Christina, was this you? You're pretty good at these. Was that you?
No,
The little cranes?
This is not you?
No.
No. Yeah, and this is nowhere near Christina quality. But anyway, maybe he's up there doing origami, playing with a samurai sword. We don't know what he's doing. And the Shogun is going to be the actual ruler. So we're going to have a carbon copy of feudalism, but it's going to last almost as long as Russian, from 790, from Charlemagne, all the way to 1800. Please God, let us have an essay comparing European and Japanese feudalism. Oh my God, I would start crying. I would be so happy, I would pee myself. Yeah. Anyway, what's that? All right, so anyway. What we have is the emperor, who is the symbolic head of the country, again, doing whatever he is doing. The shogun is the head general, and he is going to be the one organizing things on military lines. Like Julius Caesar, like Ottoman Turkey, like the table of ranks with Peter the Great. It's a military chain of command, and your rank and privileges in society are synonymous with your military rank. General, colonel, major, captain, lieutenant. The shogun will send out large daimyos, large landowners who work for him. To keep protection and police, we're going to have samurai, whose name simply means one who serves. You pledge your word of loyalty, and the samurai were not only soldiers, but they were policemen. And it's the largest class, the peasants, who do the work of everybody else. Everyone else survives off the peasants' labor. Theoretically, the emperor is in charge of this, but he has no idea for many years what the heck is
It's the soccer
going
team.
on.
I know.
That is the stupidest, most annoying thing ever. It's dangerous. Anyway. By the late Heian period, daimyos, it's proximity to authority, right? If Christina and Megan are talking and I come over here, they'll quit talking and they'll start writing. When I'm over here, Lily and Jesse, where's Alexander? Is Alexander okay? And they're distracting everybody. By the time I get over here, Jessica and Lily aren't talking, but Christina and Megan have bought into whatever the soccer girls are doing. I know they're really good, and I hope they win, but that's annoying. All right. They begin to fight amongst themselves. It's proximity to authority. When someone's looking over your shoulder, you do what you're supposed to do, but as soon as they go away, you do whatever you want. And it's during this time that the Fujiwara family tries to overly influence the emperor by having their daughters marry Yamato sons. And a lot of other daimyo and warrior families get angry because their children don't have access to these elite jobs. And they're saying, well, why do you get to influence the emperor? Why are you marrying your daughters to his sons? And they start complaining, and it causes warfare. This ends in 1158, right as the Renaissance, as Emperor Shirakawa, an emperor who says, why is there a shogun in charge? I'm the one that should be, you're welcome, ma'am, I'm the one that should be running this show. During this time, there's some cultural flowering during this Middle Age period. When Europe is in the depths of the Dark Ages, Japan is recreating their entire country. In 951, an empress wanted to be able to write poetry in her own language, but she couldn't because Japan was using the Chinese characters. So she does something incredible, and she orders her scholars to create a Japanese written language. They're like, well, your emperor, how do we do that, your highness? And she said, I don't know, that's your job. Figure it out. All right? It's like Gene Roddenberry in Star Trek coming up with Klingon, which you can now get a foreign language credit for taking at the University of Michigan. Whatever. All right? Using this, we gain a lot of insight into what was going on in medieval Japan by reading Sei Shonagon's The Pillow Book, which describes an aristocratic woman's life in Japan, and Lady Murasaki Shikibu, who writes something like Courtly Love, how she and a young prince are really in love, but she is betrothed to an older man, so while they love each other, they could never be together. And we're never, ever, ever. All right, we got to be almost done. You guys hanging in there? All right. By 1185, there is no traces of Chinese government whatsoever. The government is militaristic. And it will be headed by one of the great shoguns of all time, Minamoto Yoritomo, who beats down all the other samurai and daimyos so bad, every samurai in the world wants to work for him. So he's like the Yoda or the Obi-Wan Kenobi of medieval Japan. Man, he's so powerful, I want to work with that guy. And he creates 3 offices that will be cyclical from this time all the way on up till Commodore Perry in 1853. There's the office of the samurai. There's the legal office issuing different laws, and the legal office interpreting those laws and enforcing justice. That's Japan. Different emperors, so it will be a very cyclical over and over and over again cycle. Kublai Khan will try and invade 2 times, 1274 and 1281. Both times his fleets failed, and the Japanese believe their divine emperor sent kamikaze divine winds to destroy the Mongol war fleets. This brings us up to the age of imperialism. We get an emperor or a shogun known as Ashikaga, where the shogun is dumb enough to rebel. When this young warrior, Ashikaga, breaks from the shogun and supports the emperor and wins, he goes back to what Minamoto Yoritomo did with these 3 offices and fixes Japan's ills. And he tells skilled artisan families that if they have a product that everybody else wants, once they pay the emperor his